What if the most gripping British spy thrillers were not fiction at all, but coded reenactments of genuine operations? The truth is, many British TV spy films and miniseries were so accurate in their tradecraft that even intelligence veterans whispered they revealed too much. Tonight, we expose 10 British spy productions that blurred the line between drama and declassified reality. Prepare to question everything. Number 10. The Sandbaggers, 1978. At first glance, The Sandbaggers looked like a slow-talking office drama with no explosions or gadgetry. Yet those who had worked inside Whitehall gasped. The show captured the real bureaucracy of the British Secret Intelligence Service better than any glossy Bond adventure. The series follows Neil Burnside, a cold, pragmatic intelligence director who sends field agents known as sandbaggers on deniable missions across Europe. The storylines unfold with grim authenticity, showing political interference, moral ambiguity, and the heavy toll of loyalty. Burnside was rumored to be based on actual MI6 operatives, and his clipped dialogue mirrored the tone of classified briefings. Behind the scenes, creator Ian McIntosh vanished mysteriously in a light aircraft while the show was still airing. No wreckage, no radio call, no closure. Some claimed he had been silenced for revealing too many operational truths. Others thought it was pure coincidence. Critics praised its realism, while intelligence insiders reportedly used it for training references. The show ended abruptly after McIntosh disappeared, leaving fans haunted by the thought that maybe the fiction had come too close to fact. Even today, The Sandbaggers feels like an unearthed dossier, grim, efficient, and terrifyingly plausible. Number 9. Smiley's People, 1982. John le Carré's Smiley's People was hailed as television espionage at its most cerebral. Unlike Hollywood's glossy thrillers, it treated spying as psychological warfare, fought in safe houses and quiet parks rather than on rooftops. Alec Guinness returned as George Smiley, the weary intelligence analyst lured out of retirement to solve a puzzle involving a murdered agent and a Soviet defector. The show's authenticity stemmed from Le Carré himself, a former MI5 and MI6 officer who infused every scene with procedural detail. The brush passes the coded phone calls, the emotional detachment, all rang true to life inside Britain's secret world. Production faced pressure from diplomatic circles who worried it would reignite Cold War paranoia. Its release coincided with rising East-West tensions, and BBC lawyers insisted on toning down certain character parallels to avoid offending Moscow. Yet Smiley's People became a cultural landmark. Critics called it a masterclass in restraint, proving that espionage could be more thrilling in silence than in spectacle. Its legacy remains unmatched as a portrait of betrayal where the most dangerous battlefield was the human heart. Smiley's People did not glorify espionage. It exposed it for what it truly was, a mirror of human weakness. Number 8. Edge of Darkness, 1985. When Edge of Darkness aired, it sent shockwaves through Britain. It was a political thriller wrapped in nuclear paranoia and psychic grief. Critics called it prophetic, politicians called it subversive. The story follows police detective Ronald Craven, whose investigation into his daughter's murder leads to the revelation of a secret government program tied to nuclear weapons and environmental warfare. The deeper he digs, the more the truth dissolves into madness, conspiracy, and death. Writer Troy Kennedy Martin drew heavily from real government scandals and anti-nuclear protests of the 1980s. He admitted later that some characters were based on actual insiders willing to talk off record. The BBC faced pressure from officials who feared the show encouraged distrust of the establishment, but they aired it anyway. Production was turbulent, the tone shifted from procedural realism to near mysticism, mirroring the psychological collapse of its lead character. Its cinematography captured the gray despair of Thatcher-era Britain, and its soundtrack by Eric Clapton and Michael Kamen added a mournful humanity. Edge of Darkness remains one of the rare works where fiction predicted reality. A warning disguised as entertainment, reminding viewers that truth in espionage always carries radiation of its own. Number 7. A Very British Coup, 1988. When Channel 4 aired A Very British Coup, it felt less like a drama and more like a secret recording from inside Whitehall. The series imagined a socialist prime minister rising to power in modern Britain, only to face sabotage from intelligence services, the media, and shadowy American interests. It was fiction officially, but many watching felt it was dangerously plausible. Based on Chris Mullin's novel, the story follows Harry Perkins, a steelworker turned populist leader who promises nuclear disarmament and independence from Washington. The establishment moves swiftly against him. Surveillance leaks and covert manipulations unfold with chilling precision. Every phone call, every political maneuver feels drawn from a classified playbook. The accuracy was no accident. Mullin, a journalist turned MP, had spent years investigating British intelligence overreach. He infused the script with real parliamentary procedures and authentic ministry dialogue. Critics immediately noticed it was too precise, too informed. British intelligence veterans quietly admitted off-record that some details hit uncomfortably close to reality. Behind the scenes, government advisors tried to pressure Channel 4 to tone down its portrayal of American influence over British policy, but director Mick Jackson refused. The show aired uncut, winning multiple BAFTAs and stirring heated debate in Parliament. Even decades later, A Very British Coup feels eerily modern. Its realism lies not in gadgets or action, but in how it reveals the invisible wars waged between elected leaders and unelected power brokers. It remains a masterclass in quiet rebellion and a reminder that in Britain, espionage sometimes wears a tailored suit. Number 6. The Game, 1914. Set during the final years of the Cold War. The Game arrived on BBC Two as a stylish throwback, yet its espionage techniques were anything but fictional. Critics praised its atmosphere, its attention to detail, and its unnerving portrayal of surveillance within Britain itself. The story follows Joe Lambay, a British agent haunted by betrayal and guilt as he hunts a Soviet mole inside MI5. The show meticulously reconstructs tradecraft used in the 1970s, from brush passes and coded newspaper ads to counter-surveillance tailing techniques. Former intelligence officers later confirmed many of these methods were accurate, if slightly sanitized for broadcast. Its authenticity caused controversy within broadcasting circles. Some feared it would expose outdated but still sensitive methods of communication. The BBC allegedly consulted former operatives to ensure scenes did not breach the Official Secrets Act. That tension gave the series its quiet realism, where paranoia felt routine and morality was blurred beyond repair. Tom Hughes's performance as Lam mirrored the emotional exhaustion of agents caught between duty and self-preservation. While it never reached mass audience fame, The Game earned cult status among espionage enthusiasts. Its slow tension and realism placed it closer to John le Carré's universe than to action-driven spy dramas. Today, The Game stands as a study of emotional espionage where the greatest weapon is not a gun, but trust itself. A chilling reminder that in intelligence work, the enemy sometimes looks exactly like a friend. Number 5. Cambridge Spies, 2003. When the BBC dramatized the infamous Cambridge 5 scandal, in Cambridge Spies, it reignited a national wound that had never fully healed. The story of upper-class scholars turned Soviet agents was already legendary, but this adaptation aimed for unnerving truth rather than mere scandal. The 4-part miniseries follows Kim Philby, Guy Burgess, Anthony Blunt, and Donald MacLean from their privileged university days to their infiltration of British intelligence and eventual exposure as Soviet moles. It portrayed not villains, but conflicted idealists seduced by ideology and vanity. What shocked many was how accurately the show depicted real recruitment techniques practiced by Soviet handlers. The double agent meetings, the dead drops. The psychological grooming were presented with chilling authenticity. Former MI5 consultants later confirmed several methods were still discussed in counterintelligence training long after the show aired. Cambridge Spies provoked outrage among veterans who felt it glamorized betrayal. Yet its deeper message was cautionary. It revealed how easily arrogance and class privilege shielded treachery. Inside Britain's own institutions, the production faced tight legal oversight since many files on the case were still partially classified. At the time, critics praised its emotional depth while historians debated its precision. But beneath the romantic veneer lay a warning about loyalty and illusion. The series proved that espionage thrives not only in shadows but also under chandeliers and college portraits. Cambridge Spies remains a haunting reflection of how British sophistication masked one of the gravest security breaches in history, a mirror of charm, deception, and national denial. Number 4. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, 1965. Long before television discovered gritty realism, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold turned the spy genre into something human, tragic, and unbearably honest. Based on John le Carré's landmark novel, this British production stripped espionage of glamour and exposed it as an act of moral corrosion. Richard Burton played Alec Lemus, a broken British agent sent to East Germany to pose as a defector. His mission is to frame a Soviet intelligence officer, yet the line between truth and deception dissolves with every scene. The film's gray landscapes and stark cinematography captured a realism that mirrored Cold War Europe perfectly. Every shadow, every silence felt like evidence. The British government allegedly monitored the film's development, fearing it could damage relations with American allies by depicting Western intelligence as manipulative and morally bankrupt. Yet le Carré's story had already struck a chord among real agents who recognized the accuracy of its tradecraft, from counter-surveillance to coded safehouse routines. Behind the camera, Burton clashed with director Martin Ritt over the character's despair, wanting to make him colder, less redeemable. The tension produced an unforgettable performance that critics called one of the bleakest portraits of espionage ever filmed. When it premiered, it shocked audiences expecting Bond-like adventure. Instead, they found hopelessness, bureaucracy, and betrayal. The movie earned acclaim across Europe and became a quiet training reference among intelligence historians who praised its precision about human exploitation in fieldwork. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold endures as a masterpiece of cynical truth, a reminder that in the spy world, victory often tastes like guilt. Number 3. Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, 1979. When BBC released Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, it redefined television forever. Gone were car chases and gadgets. What remained was chess played by men who smiled while lying. George Smiley returned again, portrayed with ghostly restraint by Alec Guinness. And this time, the enemy was not across the Iron Curtain, but within his own ranks. The miniseries unfolds around a hunt for a Soviet mole at the top of British intelligence. Every conversation feels coded, every gesture an interrogation. The tension lies not in violence, but in silence. A realism that felt eerily close to the real MI6 operations of the time intelligence veterans later revealed that le Carré's script captured office hierarchy and interrogation rhythm with unnerving fidelity. The BBC faced government scrutiny before broadcast with rumors that certain scenes too closely resembled real debriefing methods used during internal investigations. Producers were ordered to alter some dialogue, but refused, and the final cut remained uncompromisingly authentic. Production was meticulous. Guinness studied real case files under le Carré's supervision, ensuring his portrayal captured the bureaucratic despair of true espionage. Critics hailed it as the finest spy story ever told, and it became a global success, influencing later shows like Homeland and The Americans. Its quiet intensity became a benchmark for credibility, proving that espionage was not about heroics, but about loneliness, suspicion, and the erosion of trust. The legacy of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy still lingers like cigarette smoke in an interrogation room, timeless and suffocating. Number 2. The Honorable Woman, 2014. In an age of digital surveillance, The Honorable Woman felt like a wake-up call rather than a TV show. The BBC and Sundance co-production dove into modern intelligence politics with shocking precision-balancing espionage drama, with geopolitical tension that felt ripped straight from headlines. Maggie Gyllenhaal played Nessa Stein, a British-Israeli businesswoman whose family weapons empire becomes entangled in Middle Eastern intelligence webs. The story explored data leaks, assassinations, and moral dilemmas of Western intervention. But what unsettled real analysts was how closely the series mirrored actual modern espionage operations, including encrypted communications, front companies, and interagency manipulation. Creator Hugo Blick reportedly consulted real former intelligence officers to ensure authenticity. British newspapers claimed the show's scripts were reviewed quietly by government legal advisors due to its depiction of counter-terror cooperation between Britain and Israel. The show's tension was emotional rather than explosive. Every whispered phone call felt loaded with danger. Behind the scenes, the production was grueling. Filmed across Morocco and London, its cast endured tight secrecy over scripts. Blick himself described writing it as living under surveillance. The result was stunning. The show won a Golden Globe and earned praise for its political depth and moral courage. The Honorable Woman reminded audiences that modern espionage is not about microfilm or disguises, but about information power and the blurred ethics of peacekeeping. It made viewers ask the same question real agents ask every day. When does protection become control? Number 1. Bodyguard, 1918. When Bodyguard debuted on BBC One, it wasn't just television, it was national obsession. What looked like a slick thriller about a war veteran protecting a controversial Home Secretary quickly became a mirror reflecting Britain's uneasy dance between politics, surveillance, and personal trauma. Viewers gasped at its realism, but for some in security circles, the accuracy hit uncomfortably close to home. Richard Madden's David Budd wasn't a gadget-wielding hero. He was every veteran torn between loyalty and doubt, operating under systems of watch lists, psychological evaluations, and whispered conspiracies. Behind the camera, former police and intelligence advisors ensured its methods of counter-terror coordination, motorcade protection, and internal vetting procedures were authentic. So authentic that insiders later said it felt like watching a redacted incident report. Even the political subtext, the private contractors, data leaks, and interagency mistrust reflected genuine post-9/11 tensions inside Britain's security apparatus. During production, BBC executives reportedly fielded quiet government queries about certain operational portrayals, especially the depiction of encrypted communication protocols and insider sabotage. But Bodyguard thrived precisely because it blurred those boundaries. Every twist felt plausible, every betrayal felt bureaucratic. Its closing episodes shattered records and sparked national debate over how much surveillance Britain now accepts in the name of safety. In the end, Bodyguard wasn't fiction pretending to be truth. It was truth disguised as entertainment proof that modern espionage no longer hides in alleys or safe houses, but inside data servers, offices, and minds haunted by duty. So what do these stories tell us? That in Britain, espionage was never just fiction. It was confession written in code. From Cold War corridors to modern data wars, these films and miniseries show how easily truth becomes camouflage. Which one left you questioning reality the most? Tell us below, and remember to like, share, and subscribe for more hidden history.